Hey y'all, I'm Molly. Welcome back to Minnie Acres Farm. I thought I would do a quick sit-down video and answer a few questions that you might have that I'm not sure if I addressed in my first video, and are just a few things that you might be curious about or might be helpful. So I don't think I've ever shared before how we came up with the name Minnie Acres Farm. The cat is attacking my foot. Hi, come here. You want to say hi to everybody? Come and say hi. Won't you say hi? Say hi. This is our newest edition, Duke Silver. I think that every video I've made, you guys have seen a different cat and never seen the same cat twice. So one big reason that I wanted to have a farm and name it and move more towards actually becoming productive, especially when it comes to talking about rescue animals and things like that, is because our daughter died. And I don't share a lot of details about how she died and the circumstances around it, but she was 7 years old, and she is the one who could tame any animal. The picture that you see, the profile picture for this channel, is actually a picture of our daughter. She is holding Fred the rooster, and she's got Rusty the mule wrapped around her little finger, and most of her days were spent just making them do her bidding. She would get them to follow her all over the place. She would bring the rooster inside and read books to him. She brought that life to this farm. If it's not obvious, she's adopted. 2 of our children are biological and 2 of our children are adopted. We adopted out of the foster care system many years ago. And she nicknamed herself Minnie Mouse because when she was little, one of the easiest ways for me to fix her hair was to put it in 2 little buns like this. And so she looked like Minnie Mouse. And I don't think she came up with the name on her own, although she was obsessed with Minnie Mouse, but she referred to herself as Minnie Mouse. So a nickname was Minnie. And because she is the reason that I do everything that I do and the legacy that I want to preserve, it was only fitting that her name be part of this farm. The other reason is sort of a play on words, because we have 12 acres, which might seem like a lot to many people, but around here it's actually not that much land. And so Minnie, kind of being like it's a mini farm, was also fitting. So the play on the word mini, as in tiny, also worked for how we feel like we have a really small farm. So the play on the word mini, as in a tiny amount of acres, was another, I don't know, play on the word that I felt like it went together really well. And combining those two sort of describes our farm, because it's about her and it's a small farm. We have small animals, and hopefully as we grow, it will be a productive mini farm. So I hope that made sense to explain a little bit about how we came up with the name Minnie Acres. Another question is, how do we afford it all? And the short answer is we don't. We've actually been at this property for 15 years, and it has been years of not doing anything with the land, or having a lot of breaks in between certain things. We've tried gardening before, but we didn't have really good success, so it dropped off. We've had goats, but we didn't have a great experience with them. We've had a number of horses and mules, and it's just been a little bit here and there over the years where we've done what we could afford at the time, or we had to give things up when we couldn't afford it at the time. The same with fences and structures and things. The barn was built over the course of a lot of years. My chicken coop was a hand-me-down building that somebody gave us, and we fitted it out to be a chicken coop. And the small coops that I have now for my birds that are clearing the market garden area, those were given to us. We've had to build our fences a little bit at a time along the way. So as far as affording it all, the things that you're seeing are over time. It's not that we went out one day and just purchased all of these things, and that we have all of these animals that it costs a lot to feed them, that we just had all of these animals at once. So my point is if you're looking at our farm and you're wondering how do we afford it all, just know that we didn't afford it all at once, and we have built it up over time, and we're continuing to build it up over time. And we are currently doing Dave Ramsey's baby steps, and we are working on getting out of debt. And the more that we get out of debt, the more that we can see the ability in the future to continue to add things to the farm. And so we're prioritizing things like having the vegetables in the garden and having the chickens for eggs and things that pay for themselves, if that makes sense. But it's all being done over time, slowly, patiently over time. Another thing that you might wonder is, how do I keep track of it all? The short answer there is I don't. I share a lot over on my other channel, my grief support channel, about something called Grief Brain, and basically I can't remember anything. I have to write things down, and then even writing things down doesn't help me remember them, because if I write something down and I lose the list or the piece of paper, then it's gone forever. So my goal is to try to keep track of everything, but I also have to give myself a lot of grace and forgiveness that if I forget anything or if something gets missed, that it's not the end of the world. And that being said, I use my calendar and my phone a lot. And I can't show you that right now because I'm using my phone to record this video, but I use that calendar for everything, not just for remembering appointments and things like that, but if I have a thought like I need to water the garden today, I put that in the calendar so that it'll pop up later when I know that I'll have free time to go outside and water the garden. Otherwise, I promise you, I will forget to water the garden, even if I know it hasn't rained in a week. And that is just part of how things go with trying to navigate grief and try to build a garden and a farm and keep everything together. Most of the time, things are gonna fall through the cracks. They're just gonna. Something I did start this year was a journal, a garden journal. So I'll show you this book. It's just a plain journal like you can get at any, Dollar General or Walmart or any kind of store. I like to buy these kind of journals on clearance and keep a bunch of them, because some of them I use for taking notes in my Bible study. Some of them I use just for journaling in general. And this one, I'm specifically trying to start a journal for gardening. What I would like to do is have a whole year's worth of notes that I can look back on from year to year and see what was going on in January, what did I notice about the garden, and decide next January I want to do it differently or want to add this or not. And so trying to be mindful of making notes in here regularly so that I do have them to look back on. But looking now, the last entry I made was September 30th. And today is October 22nd. And I haven't put an entry in here. And a lot has gone on. I would like to have notes about what my pepper plants look like, what my basils looks like, when my roselle was ready to harvest, how my bean plants have done. There's a lot of things that I think about that I'm like, I need to write that down, and then I forget. So I guess my advice would be, do as I say, not as I do. It's a great idea to journal what's going on in your garden, what you notice about the weather, and ideas for what you want to do next year, maybe something that you saw in a video that you want to try. Just having it all in one place makes it helpful, and I really just try to make it short and sweet. Like Like looking back here at my June 1st entry, all I wrote was I planted roselle okra, crimson sweet watermelon, Charleston gray watermelon, dill, and radishes for pods. And so right now I can tell you that the roselle did great. The okra did not do well. I had to replant that. The watermelons, that was my second time trying to plant them again. They didn't do well. The dill, I can't seem to grow dill. And also I think the radishes didn't come up that time either. So I'll continue to keep trying to remember to write in this every day. And maybe that's something I should put in my calendar, like a reminder, a daily reminder, like before bed or something, to make a note of anything from the day in my journal so that I can go back and read it. I'm a paper and pen kind of gal. I prefer writing my notes. I think that helps my memory a lot more than typing it into my phone or taking a screenshot or something like that. I think it has a better chance of absorbing if I write it down. So even though I am still absolutely a work in progress and trying to make this work, I highly recommend starting a journal. And you don't have to wait till January. Start it now. Just write down now what you're seeing in the garden and what is going on your farm, or what your plans are. Maybe you just want to make a note of when you ordered seeds, or something that you learned from another YouTube video or another resource that you don't want to forget. Having it all in one place for me is really helpful. So that's all I really wanted to cover today. If you have other questions, put them in the comments below and let me know what other questions you want me to answer in my next Q&A type video. Or also share below what helps you keep up with everything. How do you manage to afford the things that you need for your garden? I would also like to know if you've named your farm. How did you come up with the name for your farm? And is there a story behind it that you would like to share? Check out some of my other videos or playlists and subscribe if you want to see future videos, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye, y'all. Do you have to do that right now? I guess that's a yes.